Everyone, welcome back. My name is Daniel Franco, Managing Director of Synergy IQ and host of the Creating Synergy podcast. So in this episode, we're joined by Flavia Tata Nardini, who is co-founder and CEO of Fleet Space Technologies. Flavia is a self-proclaimed space geek, and she shares with us her journey from all the way from Italy to her current role, where she is at the cutting edge of space technology in fleet space. So Flavia is a successful entrepreneur who has dealt with all the highs and lows of being involved in the tech industry. And she opens up with us her struggles with depression and how she's actually managed that through her career. She also shares with us her thoughts on leadership and how sports play an amazing role in entrepreneurship. We also discuss the exciting projects that Fleet Space are working on and the revolutionary technology that has the absolute ability to change the mining industry. This technology has already garnered attention, with Fleet Space being named as one of Australia's top 20 startups to watch. Finally, and I had to add this in, Flavia doesn't drink coffee and somehow sleeps 10 hours a night. You heard that correctly. Doesn't drink coffee and sleeps 10 hours a night. So make sure you stay right till the end, where we have a special segment where we interviewed Flavia's children and they share their thoughts on their mother. I hope you enjoy this fun, enlightening and engaging conversation with Flavia Tata Nardini. Without further ado, here it is. So welcome back to the Creating Synergy podcast. My name is Daniel Franco, and today we have the amazing Flavia Tata Nardini on the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I have been really excited about this. Your name has been recommended to me more times than you can imagine. You got to get Flavia on. You got to get Flavia on. So finally, we're sitting here. So thanks for joining us. Let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
Where did we start? How did the world of Flavia come about, and how did you find yourself here in Australia, starting Fleet Space and working in this wonderful world of space and engineering?
Flavia. Okay, so Italian, born in a beautiful city called Rome.
I knew there was a connection.
Exactly. I don't sound really Aussie, do I? So I was born in this beautiful city. Rome was amazing. Big family.
Yep.
There were like 5 siblings. Always been a little bit of a space nerd. So all my brothers and sisters have done engineering or University of Economics, and but I loved space. Don't ask me why.
Yeah.
I think I was born with the space bug because it started very early.
Yeah.
What did inspire me? It's funny to think about it because the things that inspire me are pretty odd. I loved movies like, E.T. and all those weird extraterrestrial movies. That's what I loved. Yeah. I loved them.
Yeah. And still do.
I still do. It still makes me cry when I watch it. So my first thing that I wanted to find other form of life, I was obsessed with it. Yeah, and it was like this, I was 7 and 8 and that was my first thing. Yeah. And the stars and then the moon. I just couldn't help it.
Was it something that your parents fostered in you? Were
they
Absolutely
like not.
No,
Absolutely
so you just
not.
Found that yourself. The general curiosity kicked in, and
that's it. So my brothers and sisters went in different direction and all fell in love with something else. We had a beautiful house not far from Rome in the mountains. Yeah. Man, the skies were good. Yeah. There is a period in the northern hemisphere in the middle of August. I think it's shifting in time. It's usually around the 15th of August, where you got all the shooting stars. Oh, right? Beautiful. It's 2 or 3 days of shooting stars. So you are there and you see them like hundreds of nights. Yeah. Oh God. I was little. I was looking at it and thinking, this must be the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Yeah, it is. So sometimes, now that I'm a mom, I reflect, what did my parents do, to get, it was a lot of something that I have inside. They're a wonderful family. A lot of some problems. It was not. I had a beautiful childhood, but everyone.
You're Italian. We yell at each other.
Yeah, we yell at each other. My parents' divorce was a big disaster. But I had these things inside me. So when I went...
Well, the shooting stars thing, I've changed my life. I made a critical decision in my life on a shooting star.
Oh, how did it turn out for you?
Well, I just remember I was out the back of my house looking up, and I was in like this period of what should I do with my life, that sort of thinking point. And it just happened to be, it's like, should I go and start this business or not? Should I step out? And then this shooting star sort of flew by, and I just went, Okay, well,
I have to do
there's
it.
my answer right there. Like, I'm a big believer in omens, so I was like,
it is so beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you something funny about shooting stars, because I think shooting stars is the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That is very odd. But a couple of years ago, I went camping. We drove on the beach, the Coorong, in the south of Adelaide.
Yeah.
So really like on the beach.
Yeah.
And for the first time, I was like watching the other hemisphere stars that are a little bit different. So this would have been probably like 30 years after those first girl watching shooting stars.
Yeah.
And the thing that I loved that the sky was beautiful, different stars. I love it. But what I saw in the sky that night, so I saw a shooting star and I thought, how beautiful! Like makes a wish. Then I saw another one. I'm like, how beautiful! And then I realized they were all in a line, and they were at the same cadence. And I realized were SpaceX Starlink satellites. And I'm like, oh, those are not shooting stars. So it kind of made me think like, okay, that's 7 years old. I love shooting stars. They were real shooting stars. 30 years after, we got satellites in the sky pretending to be stars. And I'm like, oh, it's a lot happening. 30 years.
Did you not have a background in space already though before when you saw that, or was it when you said, all right, that's it, I'm going to build satellites from this point on?
When I was little, or when I was
when you were on the beach at the Coorong.
Yeah, it was 2 years ago. So I had it. So I exactly knew that Starlink was launching stuff. It's just I didn't realize that you could see them and that they look like a shooting star. So it just kind of this 30 years of journey, right? Looking for real shooting star to realize is that humankind are launching artificial, that it like kind of mixed feelings, but that's how it started, with a lot of shooting stars around the 15th of August in the northern hemisphere.
That's amazing. Does it still happen today? Is that like part of the cycle?
It's a part of the cycle, and it's so beautiful.
Okay, in the northern hemisphere of Italy, in the mountains.
I think Europe, in the mountains. 15 of August, if you are there, just put your nose up.
Okay. Because we have something similar here in Australia. It's in winter, I think, and it's always cloudy.
It's always cloudy. I never see that.
Yeah, very frustrating. Because I'm a big geek. I don't have a telescope or anything like that. It's definitely on my to-buy list. But yeah, to get away and just look up at the stars.
Beautiful.
Unbelievable.
Makes you feel so small. It makes you feel like you need to do a lot to contribute to humankind, not a little.
Yeah. Are you a Carl Sagan fan or anything like that? Like the pale blue dot?
Yes.
It's unbelievable.
I'm a fan of a lot of weird things.
His pale blue dot, which is like the definition of Earth and the way it fits in this universe, is by far one of my favorite sort of speeches.
It's beautiful, and it makes so much sense, right? So I wanted to be an astronaut, of course, and I think I still do. And it's that feeling of wanted to go outside and look outside in at that beauty. And feel that your soul is putting everything in perspective, right? So
it would. So it's going back, growing up, looking up at the stars, curiosity kicks in play. At what point in your study, in your junior career, did you go, right, that's it, this is the world that I'm going into, this is what I want to be, I want to get into engineering, I want to become a rocket scientist, I want to do this?
All that. So during my, let's say, primary schools, I wanted to become an astronaut. During my high school, I thought, okay, I should choose math and science, and I was good at it. I was a basketball player, so I was a professional basketball player. So there was a lot going on in my life, and I loved basketball, and I had this team. It was really beautiful. So we were this team traveling all around Italy, but we also were all studying in the meanwhile. And I wanted to work with the planets and the stars. I didn't know what to do. Astrophysics, become an astronaut. You don't know when you're 15.
No. I still don't know now.
Yeah, I'm 40. I still don't know. Like, I wanted to play basketball. I wanted to go party. But then my brothers, some of them were engineers. I said, you should do space engineering. And I thought, okay, that sounds about right. I'm a good student. I love studying. But I was getting very bored of school. I was a terrible student in the classroom.
It's too slow pace for you? Is that what
I don't know. I was always in, and a lot of people laugh about this, always in the last desk, always half asleep. My dad used to bring me a lot of pizza. So I was eating all this pizza all the way through the classroom, went to the principal a lot. But every time I was putting my head into something, I always had, the best grades. And so I decided aerospace engineering.
Like you at school.
I know. I have a sister. I have two sisters, but one, she's like 1 year younger than me. Yeah. And she's totally the opposite of me. She has to put a lot of work, She's probably same capabilities as me, but she was studying so much. Yeah. So she hated me as well.
Yeah. I can see that with my two daughters now. I've got an 11-year-old and a 9-year-old, I think. I can't remember their age or something. But yeah, my youngest just picks things up in a
and
heartbeat.
It's so easy.
And my eldest is just like
have to put the effort,
grinding through, and you can it's really interesting. I think I'm like my eldest daughter. I had to grind the whole time.
I've got two daughters as well, and they're very similar. Yeah. When I went to uni, and I was the same terrible. So even a basketball, right? I was playing the entire game. Yeah. Was captain for some years, but you should see me when I was training. I didn't like training.
Yeah.
So always arriving late. My coach always thought that it was amazing how a person that didn't train could sustain, and with such a little body, tall, like a little giraffe, could sustain games like that. Yeah. It's like, it's against everything that I've learned about, working hard.
Does that frustrate you in a way now, looking back, and not so much from a regret point of view, but because you're obviously very successful in your own right now, but looking back going, if I knew what I knew now and how hard I could have represented
that could
my
have
country.
Conquered the world in the 20s. I think I am a lazy as a soul, not as a mind, but the soul and the body are lazy. Yeah. So my mind can push through everything. So probably, I think about it because it was the same when I was at uni. I went to uni and I did space engineering, aerospace engineering, and a master, and I came out the master with the highest grade, right? Yeah. But you should have seen me at uni. Yeah. I have a best friend that we went through uni together. She was the girl that was there at 8:30 taking all the notes. Yeah. And she was used to call me at 10, where are you? I'm sleeping. Yeah, how are you going to take the notes? Can you give me the notes? Yeah. Okay.
I'm getting annoyed.
Yeah, I was that horrible girl, Never there, always, I was always playing and she was always giving me the notes, but loved party. So, used to go party and wake up at 12. But then I would go to an exam and smash it.
Yeah. And is there like a photographic memory?
Completely 100 million% photographic memory.
What does that look like?
It is absolutely amazing.
Explain to us normal people.
So normal people, photographic memory is just a gift. Yeah. Okay, so the way I've been studying, and if I look back, I don't think I really understood anything. I'm probably clever than what I give credit for, but my exams at uni, right? We had these massive books, like huge books, right? 1,000 pages of electronic circuits. So my methodology was the following. Yeah. I think this is what I'm good at. Take a 1,000 pages book, write it back on a 50 pages summary written by me that I could study really just photographically, go to the exam, and repeat it perfectly. So I've got the capacity to summarize things, write them down, and remember them. And it is my superpower.
It is your superpower.
Yeah.
I've got one of my best friends. He might or might not be listening to this, but he is a neuroscientist, not neuroscientist, a neurosurgeon.
Very good.
And I remember we were playing a game of football one day, and after the game, we were watching the game that followed us, and he was standing behind the goals, sort of like his eyes closed, almost what seemed like meditating or, sort of, you could see he was doing something with his mind, nodding his head, doing something with his mind. And I would scream out, Chris, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, we're literally outside in watching a football game. He's like, shut up, Daniel. I'm studying. I'm like, what do you mean you're studying? He goes, I've got an exam tomorrow and I'm going through my assignment right now.
Yeah,
and
I understand.
Said to him, what do you mean you're going through his assignment? She goes, shut up, I've got 2 pages left. I said, how many pages have you got? And he goes, I had 30. I'm like, you're kidding me. He's recited 30 pages.
Yeah, 30 pages from a book that is 1,000. So that's my superpower. So if I now think about exam at uni, I can see those pages in my brain. I can see those pages. And considering that, if I enter, and this is the fascinating things of a weird mind, if I enter in my house, every day that I enter in my house and I leave the keys somewhere, I don't know where they are. Okay, this is like every day I lose my keys and my phone.
Funny.
So I think the short memory,
not so good.
Not so good. The long-term memory, amazing.
So when you've done a TEDx talk, when you prepared for your TEDx, was that something that you just kind of prepared the day before and read, or did you have to go through the preparation?
So the other thing. So first of all, I need to write it down. Yeah. So I wrote my speech down. Yep. Okay, probably 2 days before, and I wrote it down.
People are freaking about their TEDx talk. 3 months before.
Yeah, I know, but I do everything last minute. So I wrote it down and I rewrite it down, and then I have to repeat it, and so I repeated 2-3 times. It was the same with university. Yeah. I just read it and read it 2-3 times, and the 4th time I remember everything. And I don't remember the words. I remember the picture. Yeah. So it's like I'm reading in my mind.
Yeah. Wow.
That's how my brain works. And sometimes I even now fleet. I go these big documents. I don't exactly. I'm like, listen, I don't exactly remember. Like shareholders agreement. Things are very complicated. I don't exactly remember, but I know that at page 72 there is something related to that. So so you can find everything.
Yeah. Is that just with literature, or is it with numbers as
well?
No,
it's with everything.
It's with everything. So financial statements, you can look at it and go, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I remember the numbers, and I don't think. That's my superpower.
Oh,
I don't know.
But it's such a good superpower mixed with obviously your ability to communicate as well, right? Like you have this really excellent. So the ecosystem is built for success, I would say.
It's a fake it till you make it superpower. Like everyone thinks you're very clever, but instead you just remember things very vividly. Yeah. It's not good for friends and boyfriends and husbands that lives with me because I remember everything. So don't write anything down.
Yeah. And your kids, they came along today. They're sitting in the other room right now. They're probably thinking, Mum just remembers everything.
She remembers everything. That's so funny.
So so coming to Adelaide, tell us how you ended up here in this beautiful city in Adelaide. You went through uni, studied engineering. Then what happened to that from that point?
So I studied in Rome, and then I finished in a university in the Netherlands. And then I found my first job. I worked at European Space Agency and then a Dutch company called TNO. And I had the time of my life. I was from 23 to 28. I was working on propulsion system and rockets and launches to Mars and project to the moon. And I thought I was on top of my life, really. I really had fun. And then I met Steph. He's from Adelaide. And he was there for work, and we fell in love. And after 1 year, let's go to Adelaide. And I'm like, where?
Yeah.
Like my hometown.
What's that about?
And I'm like, okay, sure. So the first trip that I did, that was 10 years ago to Adelaide. I was 8 months pregnant, and we were coming back here. And then I landed in Adelaide 10 years ago this year because my daughter will be 10. Yeah, great. And I was pregnant when I came back with him. And landed in Adelaide. So the funny things that at the beginning, from the outside, Adelaide, South Australia really looked like a big engineering hub. That it is, you know. The reality is a lot of defense. And you need to be Australian to access all those defense companies. Yeah. So when I arrived here, gave birth, I realized, man, there is not a lot of space here. No. And I'm not Australian, so I can't work for 90% of the companies here. So that was the beginning. That was a tough beginning.
Would have been.
Because I had a child, the first child, and I really didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. Tough. And we were like,
it's a common story for people that come in. I mean, Gabriella, there is the same thing coming from Brazil. We've got people in our team, the same sort of thing. They've come over here. We had someone work with us. He came from Brazil. Very, very experienced in a particular professional world, and had to work with the fruit flies, right?
It happened to one of my employees that is actually from Brazil.
Yeah.
So when we found him, and in Brazil, he was a space engineer working with rockets. And he's one of my best engineers now. Yeah. We found that he was working in a hotel in Sydney.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
And let me tell you, the guy is a gun.
Next level.
So we hired him straight away.
Yeah. So what did you do? Did you get into research then? Is that how?
At the beginning, the first couple of years, I had this, so I was looking for after little girl and waiting for my visa, and I had another baby, and I had this little, like kind of a notebook where I was writing all my ideas. I wanted to keep working in space.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't want to go into mining or...
What does your husband do? Is he working?
He works in defense.
In defense.
And... couldn't work in defense, right?
Yeah.
Couldn't work in defense. Yeah. So I was writing down ideas, and I didn't know what a startup was. I didn't really know. I've never built a startup. I didn't know what entrepreneurship is. So the only entrepreneur in our family was our dad. Yeah. He had his company. He was an architect. And let me tell you, the guy wasn't good with money. Yeah. So our life, this is why I divorced from mom. So for me, entrepreneurship was troubles.
Yeah,
you know, it just was messy, and it just gave us a hard time in our life. So entrepreneurship wasn't seen like something to pursue in my family, right?
But you know, the statistic is though, if your parents were entrepreneurs, like your mother or father were entrepreneurs, as a child, you are 90% more likely to start your own business. It's crazy.
It is crazy. Yeah. And I think it's just what you see. And even if he failed at what he was doing, the poor man is 80 plus now, but clearly there is a bug.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
My dad started his own business. I'm absolutely part of that 90%. It's crazy.
It is crazy. Yeah. I don't know what to get inspired. And it was really tough, you know, because he lost all his money. So we didn't have anything. I saw the bad side of entrepreneurship, right? The one that really damages family. But yeah, it didn't stop me. But I didn't know what it was. I wanted to maybe start working at a university. Yeah. I wanted to do a PhD.
Yeah. You could do it differently though, right? That's what drives you, is doing something different, being more innovative.
Exactly. So that was the beginning. Then I met my co-founder, Matt.
Yeah, how did you guys meet?
So it was complicated because I met Matt Tedlove here, and he met another guy called Brian in Sydney, and we got put in touch, the four of us, and we founded a startup before Fleet.
Yeah, okay.
All together. Yeah, exactly.
I want to talk about that.
Yeah, we were the four of us. Then one dropped straight away. The three of us kept going together. Yeah. And then when we found the Fleet, at the end it was just the two of us.
Yeah, okay.
So me and Matt Pearson really got in touch just for a chance, you know. And his life was different because since his 20s, he has bootstrap startup. So the man was like a startup man. Yeah. So the first time I met him in Sydney, he's like, we should build a space startup. And I'm like, what is that?
Yeah.
He's like, what do we have to do? And a lot of people said to me, like, how did Fleet start? The name and the idea. This was after Launchbox, but we were in his office. He had a big office with his previous startup. And I was telling him, you know what would be really, really interesting, using this small satellite for connectivity. Yeah. And he's like, let me think about it. We could call Fleet. We could call it Fleet Space.
Yeah. So was that something that you wrote in your notebook?
It was, funny enough, what I wrote in my notebook. Yeah. Okay, so I spent 2 or 3 years, even when Launchbox was happening, talking with people. Yeah. I had thousands of coffees, and I don't even drink coffee. I drink no coffee. Okay.
So what are you having, teas?
So I having teas.
Coffee dates.
So I'm telling, hey, should we go for coffee days? I'm having water. Yeah. Okay. But I just wanted to hear everything about people, industries, what were the issues, the bottlenecks. So Launchbox was an education program because I actually think STEM is an issue in this country.
Yes.
But while I was doing that, it really was giving me money to travel, go to conference and doing stuff. And everyone was talking about the vastity of Australia. Every day I was talking about money, that is the main, driver of the economy. And they were telling me you should build a constellation of satellites for connectivity to work with mining. And I found that notebook, and I was literally like, no matter what you do not do connectivity, do not do mining, because it sounds really boring. And, and I do connectivity mining now. So like I look at that notebook and I'm like, oops.
Yeah. That's the way.
That's the way always. You know, if you actually follow the market, there are a lot of people that just build startup.
Yeah.
The thing that they like. We actually followed what the market wanted. But why I didn't want to do it, because at university, I avoided study communication, because I didn't want exam and I didn't like it. So I thought, oh, this is black magic. Like, I think talking to another thing that doesn't look very scientific. I'm not into it. And mining, I didn't know mining. Yeah. Mining was like, that sounds really weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, now
That's
after
amazing.
7 years we do communication for mining, and I'm like, okay.
So we had Simon Hackett on the show, the founder of Internode, who was instrumental in bringing the internet here to Australia. But he claimed on the show, and I hope it's true. I think it's true. I think he's yet to be proven otherwise. That he was one of the creators of the Internet of Things, right? Where he hooked up a toaster. I think, Gabs, it was like 20, 30 years ago. He hooked up a toaster on the internet and cooked a piece of toast from Australia in America.
That is so clever. Yeah. That is so clever.
Yeah,
I mean, there are a lot of smart people in this country.
That's where that was essentially what Internode was supposed to be. It's supposed to be an IoT business that turned into, because he had
an internet. Yeah, because that was the very beginning, and IoT is really starting now. So imagine having an idea 20 years ago. You know, when you talk about summer, made me think that when I arrived in Australia, for me it was an eye opener how many technologies were invented in this country. Yeah. We don't know.
It's brilliant. No,
it's brilliant. So, the Wi-Fi, you name it, the list. It was so brilliant. And on one side, also really sad that this technology are not well known to be owned by Australian research. It's something that needs to change.
It is a shame. Can we just cut back? You said you don't drink coffee. I want to talk about that.
Sorry, I thought you would forget about it, but you're back.
I've had 3 this morning. So is it a health reason? You just don't like the taste? What's the...
So we're trying to analyze, because we have 5 siblings and 2 of us don't drink coffee. Yeah, okay. Our dad didn't drink coffee. Mom was a massive... Mom was coffee and cigarettes, right? Typical Italian of the other. So the 3 of us didn't drink coffee. So I don't know if it's a genetic thing. Sometimes we think it's genetic. I've got 3 assumptions. The first, I don't like the taste. Okay.
Well, that's the start.
So that's the start, The second thing is also, I think because I've been suffering for depression for a long time, I think coffee triggers me. Yeah. And my body just doesn't want it. Yeah. The other side of the story is that I need to sleep a lot. So I sleep 10 hours a day.
Let's talk on this.
So between the not drinking coffee and sleeping 10 hours a day, I know I'm odd. Yeah. I'm very odd.
So I'm doing a little bit of an experiment at the moment with my life, because I've been listening to some podcasts, and sleep is something that I've been struggling with, not because, I've got this world of worry and whatnot, I can manage that, but it's more it's been an interrupted, or hasn't felt a comfortable deep sleep. So I read that if you have coffee at 12 o'clock, like midday, is sort of a 12-hour cycle. It's not out of your system until 12 o'clock at midnight. And I was having coffee at 9 o'clock at night, and I was able to go to sleep. I was fine. I could sleep, but it was sort of an interrupted sleep. So over the past 2 or 3 days, 3 or 4 days now, I've stopped. I've had my last coffee at 12 p.m. midday, and I've been sleeping like a baby. It's unbelievable. And I'm a little bit disappointed that it's working at the moment.
It's been taking some years to realize.
But the habit of going, all right, afternoon, I'm ready for my coffee, is the part that I'm struggling with the most.
Yeah, of course.
Like, now what do I do? Like, this is ridiculous. Yeah.
And I think alcohol is the same, when you drink in the evening, your sleep, it's a little bit like upside down.
Yeah. Alcohol actually is a deterrent to your sleep.
Yeah. And it's funny, in the past 5 to 6 years that we all use, those watches and Fitbits and things that actually... humankind is realizing how well you sleep when you don't drink coffee or alcohol, and everyone is like, oops.
Yeah, it's the data's there.
The data is there.
But it's the same thing where humans are a strange mob, because we know that we have to eat healthy every day to stay healthy, and we know that our bodies are built on this, this tectonic plate that at any point our bodies could give way, right? So we've got all this success in business, we've got all this success in life, but yet we don't look after our bodies. It just doesn't make sense.
The reality is that I always think about that. There's so much to take care of. You wake up in the morning and I need to sleep good. I need to be good on my body. I need to take care of my skin. And I mean, like, man, This is multitasking. You know, we got a business, we are parents. I can't do it all. So chocolate is good.
Chocolate is good.
Chocolate is good.
You touched on there, we digressed with the coffee talk, but then you did make mention that, from a depression point of view, and I think that was something I was keen to talk to you about today and get into a bit later. But while we're on the subject, did you think that the coffee would contribute to your depression?
I don't know. So I think that my depression, so if you look at my family, there's been mental health issues, so it's probably genetic. I didn't have, when I was young, any food-related mental disorders, but some of my siblings did.
Yeah.
I think my depression was always there. There's a big genetic element. Because it's been going on since I'm 15. Kind of discovered when I'm 20. Very hormonal. So it is a pure physical one. But what a hell of a journey having to deal with severe depression all your life. It is, interestingly enough, the best people I know that have depression. It is when you got, and it's weird things to say, but when you get, there are a lot of mental health issues, but when you got so extreme into it and you need to deal with your life and you need to manage, it's like managing any other disease. It's like, having to use your insulin. It is the same, right? You know, one thing or the other. The thing about depression and mental health, it shows you what your brain can do from one side or the other. So I'm a scientist, right? So since my 15, I've been looking at depression with curiosity. It's amazing.
What have you found out?
I've studied a lot about what happened in because it's our first world issue, right? So why does that happen? There is so much we don't know. And I did think this is super interesting. Is it triggered by, there are so many triggers, so it's not sadness, right? So it's triggered by food, it can trigger by genetics, it can be triggered by environment, by vitamin D, by what you eat. It's incredible complex. If you look at antidepressants, I don't know how they work. They give it to you, but I have no idea how they work. So I think there is an opportunity for the medical industry in the coming 100 years to really crack something incredible. Depression, I love it because it's, I did say that I love it because I love it. Because I actually think it's what conserve for some people. It conserves you. It's an alarm when you do things wrong. I've been really able to manage it all my life, but it's one of the first reasons why people, kill themselves. It's a huge problem. And it's so not understood. That it's such a taboo. What have I learned? That the brain is incredible. Like that the brain can switch off and that's it. And you're like, man, I'm here and I just can't think, and it's, it gives you that depth of understanding of yourself. When we're talking about working on yourself, you have to work on yourself when you got such a mental problem. You need to take care of yourself. It's funny, I've been talking a lot with my co-founder about this. So I'm good now, because it's been many, many years and, I take medication. Sometimes I take medication, sometimes I doesn't. When I take medications, I've got a clinical depression. I cannot stop taking it. Sometimes I try, but my body just doesn't produce serotonin. It's just, even if I'm happy and everything is fine, just my body can't do it. But I notice the difference. So when I take antidepressant in the way I work, I take antidepressants and I'm happy, I'm fine, I'm healthy, I sleep, I'm good. And my brain cannot see the depth of problems in the business. So
it's an inhibitor in a way.
It's just like kind of my brain sees a problem and not as deep. In the period in which I didn't have antidepressant because I tried maybe for 1 year, stop, I see everything. It's like the word, what we were saying before, the word opens up and my brain can, so it's very, very weird. There are those TV shows of those doctors that have got some issues and then they can see. When I don't have it, my business opens up and I can see problems everywhere. That is amazing, but also really stressful.
So it's like your greatest strength is also your greatest kryptonite, right? Like that's what I'm hearing.
Yes.
Here.
So, I have all this program in which, like I take care of myself, and then maybe for a period I slow down with the medicine so I catch the seconds.
Yeah, you catch up again.
And then I catch up with it. And it's I'm fascinating.
Yeah. How does it affect you personally when you find yourself, like for me, and to talk of my experience, I've never been at the point of being depressed, but of late, and especially when you are an entrepreneur and you do run your own business, you choose stress, right? You choose anxiety. That's what you do. Like that's it. Like I don't think there's a way that you can avoid it. And the past couple of months for me have been really difficult.
Tough.
To the point where sometimes where you can feel your heart beat, like you're just constant, and you just go. I said to my wife one night, I said, "This thing's just not stopping. Like, what is going on, and what's wrong with me?" But it never got to the point. The anxiety never got to the point of
not
depression.
Functioning. Yeah.
But I will say this: I thought I was invincible to it. I thought, I definitely had this mindset of, have you ever met a depressed, happy person? Like, I'm happy. I'm a happy guy. Like, I'm a positive person.
And so am I.
Yeah. So I actually had a really sort of negative view towards it in the sense that, I don't, just think positively, you'll be fine. And until it got me. Like, until it hit me.
So
and then
the thing that you need to understand, I hope you will never get depressed and it might not happen, is that when you are, we're also getting a little bit older, right?
Yeah,
okay, so our body doesn't really function anymore. It's all about chemical.
Yeah.
The body is a chemistry machine.
It is.
So, you work, you stress about something, you're a bit tired, there's cortisol. Like, you cannot manage your cortisol as good. So you got your lymph node, the things that don't. So it's a pure machine, okay? And the machine sometimes don't function. Yeah, food is good, sleeping is good, coffee. Sometimes it changes in time. The beautiful things about anxiety and, and what you've been feeling the past 2 months, your body's perfect. So your body's telling you something is not working.
Something's not right.
So depression happens where you're not listening to your body. So, if you get depressed one day, it's because in the next coming months, you have not listened to your body. Your body's telling you, change something.
There's an imbalance here somewhere.
Yeah, change something. You need to slow down. We are okay, but I don't feel that good. You need to change something. And I love it. So our body really gives us a lot of signal that we need to listen. If we don't listen, then it shuts down.
Yeah.
And it's like, body, I'm shutting down because you're not listening.
It's having that self-awareness to understand what your body's telling you, isn't it? I think that is the most critical piece.
And it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So imagine if you didn't have all those signals and suddenly you wake up one day and you are shut down completely. So it's telling you something.
Yeah.
It's telling you, that could be you're getting older or like it's been a tough winter or your immune system is down or you're... So just make some changes.
How did you manage we're fast movers, entrepreneurs, business owners, CEOs, fast movers, want things to move quickly, want to make decisions quickly. You're in the position to grow and scale, and yet your body is telling you, no, slow down. How do you manage that? How do you manage the clash of the two worlds?
I think my role and what I've learned in the past 20 years, and I think this is the depth that you go into when you got a disease. So you go in a disease that is connected to your mind. How amazingly you need to know it yourself, right? To survive something. My motto is that every time because I move fast, my life, and I'm very happy. I love my life. I don't work that much as you think. I'm a 9 to 5 girl. I don't work in the weekend. I sleep 10 hours. I got a great life. Yeah. I live on the beach. I got 2 beautiful kids. I'm happy, I think that, and I work really hard. I'm methodical. But I think that when I start feeling stressed, so when my body starts feeling this, it means that something is not working in the business. So this is something that I tell everyone. This is hard, but it doesn't have to be difficult. There is the difference between being hard and, putting effort and solving difficult problem or struggling, But if you are struggling so much, means you have not created the right business model.
Correct.
Or your customers are unhappy.
Yeah.
Or the product is not good.
Yeah. Well,
so you need to fix the fundamentals.
Something's not right. Yeah.
Okay. So it shouldn't be, like in a relationship, like, we are used to be told that relationship are hard work. And then you suddenly meet the one you love. You're like, this is not hard work. This is fine.
Yeah.
And it's hard and you need to put effort in it, but it's fine.
It is.
So I think the same about the business. So every time I see my team getting burned out or stressed, or it's an alert to say, okay, maybe this is not market fit. Or maybe we are not doing the pricing good. Or maybe we are screwing something fundamental, because it shouldn't feel that way.
Yeah. I've heard this saying, I heard it recently actually, where one of the key roles of a CEO or a leader or an entrepreneur or whatever is the ability to cut your arm off if you notice a cancer. So I've got cancer in my arm and I need to cut it off.
You need to cut it off.
You have to cut it off. There's something that is not working. There's something that's not right. I mean, that's an extreme example, right? But it's this thing that you just cannot keep going with something that's holding you back.
No, that shouldn't be the case.
Correct.
The other side of the story is that I always think about like a plant, right? And if there are some part of the plants that are struggling because they are dying, all the water goes to those. And the really good parts then start dying afterwards. So you have to cut out the things that are not working and the things that, you have to.
Yeah, I love that. I actually really love that analogy.
It's really the case,
How do you manage your depression whilst being a CEO with this immense scale that you've got going on at the moment? I mean, Fleet Space right now, and we'll get into the growth of Fleet Space, but Fleet Space right now is doing some wonderful things.
And it's growing and growing and growing.
Exactly. You're 90 to 100 odd people in your team now.
Yeah, and it will double, and we're raising money and it's going to grow. I think if we work really hard, this is going to be a unicorn in 4 years,
Well, I'm very excited to keep working.
How do I manage it? I think this is what you said before. My depression is my superpower.
Yeah.
Because I have a condition, I take care of myself.
Yeah.
Because I know the condition, I take care of the others.
I love it.
And that's it. And the reality is that if you don't, I have this say all the time, you need to work not in the business, but on the business. Working in the business, you get lost as a C executive.
Yeah.
Working on the business, you build something healthy. And so speed is nothing. What is important is a walk on the beach to think, are we doing the right thing? I've hired a lot of C executives to help me now. Believe it or not, they are not all in Adelaide. So 4 out of 6 live in other cities. And people think like, this is insane.
Yeah.
Because I want these people to think. I've got the people that do it.
Yeah.
But what about, like breathe and not getting lost in every operational drama every day and just making magic happen. So that's what depression has taught me. To step back and build things and work on things instead of getting lost on teeny tiny, not important stuff.
It's really profound way of thinking. Was that something that you were taught, or did you learn that over?
I think I learned it. Otherwise, I would have not survived.
Yeah, I mean, because the old saying, Steve Jobs is the famous quote: "Hire great people and get them to tell you what to do." And that's essentially what you're doing. Is you going, right? I'm giving you the power and authority and the autonomy to do what you need to do to create this business. I'm going to set the vision. This is where we're going. You talked about 10 hours sleep. I'm really this is something I want to get into. 10 hours sleep for
it's
me.
A lot.
It's a lot. And how does your mind? Is your mind not racing? You talk about thinking. Is your mind not? I think my mind comes alive at night. It's just like
I dream a lot. So what I do, I usually put the kids to sleep like at 8:30, and at 9 I'm gone, and I wake up at 7, and I sleep very well.
That is amazing.
And I dream a lot. I love my dreams. I always have this joke that, because I sleep too much, literally my life is half awake, half sleeping, right?
Yeah.
Literally like 12 hours awake, 12 hours sleeping. So I always make fun with everyone knows me and said, which one is my real life?
Yeah.
The one where I'm sleeping or the one where I'm awake? Because when I'm sleeping, I love dreams, and I love analyzing my dreams.
Yeah.
So in the morning when I wake up, I always spend 20 minutes analyzing my dreams, because it's so much time in my day.
Yeah.
I know this sounds crazy. There's so much time in my day that I think it's important what I dream.
Yeah.
It's trying to tell me something.
Yeah.
So every time I wake up, that's the first question I ask, person next to me and my kids, and then I analyze my dreams.
Oh, wow.
That is so bizarre, right?
Is there a night routine that you have getting into bed? Like
it's a horrible run routine like everyone. Like I enter into bed and I watch Instagram for 10 minutes and then I fall asleep, and I watch video of cats and dogs and then nothing fancy.
Because I don't think I could sleep for 10 hours even if I tried. Is this a habit thing that builds up?
It's a habit thing. It builds up. And I was like always like this. But my family, we are all like this.
Yeah, okay.
And if you put me to sleep, let's say you have to, it's a special, it's not a superpower. If I have to go and take a plane at 5 a.m., for example, I will go to sleep at 6 p.m. the day before. I will just go to sleep and sleep 10 hours.
You are rattling off things that I aspire to be that I don't think I could ever be. Because I'm a 6 hour.
I would die.
Yeah. But my body just wakes up.
Then
it's like the moment I look up and I can see some daylight coming in through the blinds, it's bang, I'm on.
I actually think 10 hours is not healthy. I should sleep less,
The healthy range is...
But the reality is that your body does what you have to do. The important thing is those hours to be very, very healthy. But, they say that sleep is good. So.
Sleep is good. Well, 10 hours is you're hitting... I mean, your body's getting extra repair, right?
It's like self-repair.
Exactly. It's amazing. The one thing, though, like I would really like to ask you while we're talking about Flavia, and like I said, we'll talk fleet space in a moment. But as you are growing, you're talking about potential of fleet space becoming a unicorn.
Yeah,
which is so exciting, especially to the point where you said, Australia has come up with these amazing technologies and not being rewarded for it. So now is that opportunity with what you guys are doing. Do you, along the path, do you celebrate your wins?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And what does that look like? Explain to me the celebration of the wins, because it's something that you would know. You forget about sometimes, and as you're moving along, you're going so quickly. You go, oh, cool, we achieved that. Let's keep going. Now the next goal, then the next goal, then the next goal.
That is quite normal, and I do that. So, but fleet we try. So every quarter we have our quarterly planning in which we got our 5 rocks that we have to do, and if we hit them, we got a prize and a celebration for everyone. Like, I think last week, and I wasn't there, but last week there was last quarter celebration. So all the team went, this beer handlebar thing that you bike in the city? Yeah, they all went to do that.
That's brilliant.
So we decided as a team what to do every 3 months, and it's a party, or it's this, is that, or we go laser tag, we do, we do it all together. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
So you talk big rocks there. Is that like every quarter?
Every quarter we got 4 rocks.
That's your quarterly sprint.
Yeah, 4 rocks, and if we meet them. The thing that I also do, and I think this is also related to my depression, because when you got depression, most of the time you're okay, and some days you just can't do it. It's very weird. So since I had it, since my 20s, I have this rule. Okay, and particularly in business, that I have to make one good decision every day. Okay, in the business, I really like a company changing decision a day. Every day I have
365 decisions.
That is a lot of decisions. So every day I'm like, okay, what's the most important thing for the day? If I can make the decision, if I can make these things happen, I can work 1 minute. Okay. And I don't have to feel guilty if today is a bad day, or I feel it's just. So I celebrate that decision.
Yeah, wow.
Do you know what I mean?
What would
a decision look like? Today I need to make a decision for the important. There are 2 things today. Yeah. So I've got 2 chances. I'm trying to understand something about a customer that is really, really important, because it's going to impact the product for the next 6 months. Yeah. And so every day I wake up and I'm like, this is the one I'm going to do. Yeah. And this is the one I'm going to do. Yeah. And I'll do anything, even if I'm sick, even if I got COVID, I'll do anything to have that decision made that day. Yeah. So, and I celebrate it. I'm like, I did it.
I made my decision. I'm going to say this, and Gabriella works with Synergy IQ, the consulting business that we run outside of this podcast. Gabs heads up our marketing department as well as manages the podcast. And probably gets angry at me at a daily basis for the continual changing of a decision.
As she should. And as you should as well.
I know, right? So I guess what I'm going to ask is, those decisions, do they ever contradict each other?
Always.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, yeah. So I'm not crazy, right?
No, always.
And so how do you manage the team in that process? So like, that's the thing. I feel bad for changing my mind, but I think no. It was different yesterday. Like
the reality that the decision depend. Of course, the decision is weeks and months of data collected. Okay, but for founders' brains, for who we are, we make decision where we are really sure about it. So because new informations are in.
Yeah,
I'm changing my decision.
Yeah,
as long as the team trust you that decision is made because in that moment, in that position, that day, you got enough information and you trust it, they need to trust you. If they see that you're doing it because you don't know what the hell you're doing, that's different.
What if it's a bit of both? What if it's I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but let's try that. That didn't work. Let's try that.
I think in that case, you need to be, that I do it as well.
Yeah.
You need to, so my co-founder operates this way. So Matt operates with trials.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You need to be open about who you are.
Yeah, I think.
And you need to say, this period is my trials period. So we try A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and eventually we settle on something.
Yeah.
So you need to say.
Yeah. Okay. So does yours not look like a trial period? All your decisions?
All my decisions are not a trial
based
period.
On data and design.
And this is because this is who I am.
Yeah.
And
And that's because I think I've read somewhere where you talk about you and Matt and the relationship you have as co-founders.
Oh my God!
He's this business.
He's the genius, right? So we crack our team up. Okay, so for example, just to tell you how this two brain works, in the past 4 years we have been investigating the product market fit, right? So 5 applications and try to understand which one is a good one.
Yeah.
So 2 years ago, I started this scientific process in which, we will deploy these 5 applications, work with customers, analyze, ask, review, And this process was very well in the field, very well brought to the conclusion that the critical minerals was our application.
Yeah.
Matt said that the critical minerals was the application day 1.
Yeah.
and I'm like, how do you know? Like, we got other 5. We need to understand. No, that's the one.
That's the one.
And I'm like, and he does that all the time, you know. So I've learned to trust him and kind of make shorter my analysis period. Just a little bit shorter.
80%. 80%.
So that's it. So his brain it's able to put information much faster.
Yeah.
And it's an instinct. And
it can be frustrating for those who can think that way. Because they already see it. They see it before it happens.
It's frustrating for him. It's frustrating for us, because the thing is, out of that thing that went wrong, a couple of them went not right. Yeah. And you're like, is this the good one or the bad one?
Yeah, that's right.
He's like, which one is this?
Which one are we hitting today?
But you learn, to work together.
How do you manage, you're both co-founders. You're the CEO. He's CXO. Is that customer experience?
No, CXO is Chief Exploration Officer. It's application exploration. So he works on all the explorations and everything. Yeah.
Okay. So 2 brilliant co-founders in their own right. One's data driven. One's gut feeling driven. How do you manage that as CEO of Fleet Space?
We know how to work together now. Okay. He's got another incredible thing that drives everyone crazy. I think is brilliant. That is when he has to do something, and when he's got a deadline to deliver a massive decision, stuff like that. He waits to the very last minute. So while I go outside, if I have to make a decision today, so I have to make a decision about a customer. I've called everyone. I called the customers. I called this. So I'm a gather information type of person.
Yeah.
So people sees a lot of activities, and then there is a decision. you don't see him. So he is an introvert, like, so he goes into his word, and you don't need anything for weeks. And the day before, you're like, hi, is it coming? Is that coming? And he's like, yeah, I think so. And you're like, holy moly. And it always comes, you know? Yeah, so you need to trust that person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because otherwise it's really hard. So we do it.
Do you enjoy the CEO role? You are obviously a scientist and engineer. Like, you enjoy the data, you enjoy the discovery of creation. Do you enjoy the business aspect?
I love
of
it.
Yeah.
And because what I love about it is that in the past 6 years, I've learned a lot of things. You know, I'm a student. I like to learn.
Yeah.
You know, so every year I try to understand what I have to do to become a better CEO. So, you know, there are years that I focus on marketing, and then I focus on sales, and I hear that I focus on corporate governance, and, you know, and I study and I do courses. So it's such an amazing position in which you have to be such a 360 person, know all the topics, be good in leadership. It feels like an infinity pool of learnings.
Correct. Yeah.
That's what I like about it.
You never get it right.
You never get it right, and the reality is, what I've been learning is that there are not a lot of female CEOs, and there are not a lot of young female CEOs. So a lot of mentors and advice try to put me in a box of behavior. You should behave this way. You should do this. That is not me.
That's not you.
You know what I mean? It's not my style. So how to actually I'm a very odd CEO. Like, you know, I'm just funny and bubbly and anti-political and not correct and, you know, speak the truth, you know.
But that's why it works.
Yeah, that's who I am, you know. So there is not enough track record on how a CEO, space tech founder should behave. Yeah. So I just need to build this while learning the real things to do. Yeah. So the only thing that I do is try to hire people that had great CEOs in their life. So I grab some information here and there.
What's one of you said you've learned a lot on the way. What are some of those things that that have just stopped you in your tracks from a learning point of view as a CEO of a business?
I think it was more of a personal journey, because I'm an extremely extroverted. And I could speak for hours. And so I really...
Makes a podcast easier.
Makes a podcast easy, not a meeting. So pretty dominant, you know, a dominant personality. Yeah. So when you are, and I know I am, so when you are in a tech startup where 90% of your employees are geniuses, introverted, that does not give you the chance for people to speak up. Yeah. And that's a massive issue, you know. So such a journey for me to shut up. So hard, and you know, I've been learning to do it, and people understand how hard it is. You know,
I'm with you on that. What do you think your team would say about you from 5 years ago to now?
I think they know that I care about people. Yeah. They really know that I care about people, and that's who I am. They think I never get angry, because I sometimes I do, but you know, I'm a very humoristic person. So you know, like, I always can find the other side of the story. I hope they see that I care. I hope they see that I've got talent and I'm trying to learn.
Do they get frustrated with you?
Not much. No. Not much. The thing that they say the most that I struggle with is that if I'm not around, there is not the same energy. But I say it in a nice way. You know, like, for example, if I'm traveling, when I come back, I'm like, oh, you were not there. It wasn't that good this week. And they try to be nice, but I think it's a big red flag. Yeah. So how can you create a culture of enthusiasm and driven forces without you being there? Yeah. Correct. That worries me. Yeah. So I'm working on that.
Do you find yourself apologizing for making decisions and changing?
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah. And I apologize a lot. Yeah. And
do you think that's a detriment as a CEO?
No, it's fine. Yeah. You know, and I screw it up sometimes,
Oh,
and
yeah,
all the
I
time.
find myself apologizing every single day.
Yeah, I apologize all the time, and I laugh about it.
But sometimes I think to myself that I'm apologizing for something that I actually believe in.
Yeah, I get it, but I'm a funny personality, so sometimes I just call two people and I'm like, man, I made that decision, and I'm sorry, I know I pissed you off. I totally screwed it up, but I've done it because I thought that I was doing this, and instead that was the consequences. So I'm sorry, and people are like, oh, don't worry. I think I'm just a good person, so people don't really mind.
I'm gonna go on a limb here and say that it feels like, from what I'm hearing, that you have a really innovative and fast-moving and very thoughtful and data-driven culture, right? It sounds like that you have a really great culture at Fleet Space. Obviously, people are wanting to work for the company, which says something in its own right. And do you place a lot of emphasis, as CEO, on creating the culture where people want to work?
Yeah, I do. And, we spend a lot of time, particularly in the past years, and it's such a difficult dynamic, because the big problem is, it's not just the people. There are two types of people who love startups and people that hate it. There is nothing in the middle. You are not in a startup because I'm going to spend 2 years. There are people that just enter in Fleet and they are gone in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And people that can stay 7 years in this is the best place ever.
They love the ambiguity.
It's so bizarre.
It is.
Do you know what I mean? And I have learned to see that when people suffer, they suffer a lot. They come in Fleet, they stay 2 months and they can't sleep at night and they're super stressed and everything triggers them. And that hurts.
Have you changed your hiring for that?
Yes,
now?
it's hard to identify though. It is so hard to identify. At the beginning I thought people that are working startups is better, people that are big in corporate. I've hired CFOs of big corporate that are agile as anything. I've hired people that, my general counsel, she was general manager in a bank. You will think, oh, she will never cope. She loves it.
She loves it.
And then you get people in a startup that it's hard to identify. It's hard to identify, and you see people struggling and hating it, and it's just who they are.
Yeah. And that's the cutting the arm off piece, right?
Yeah, and you need to let them go. You need to look them in the eye and say, buddy, I know you wanted this, but you're not going to be happy here. I'm not going to be happy. You're not going to be happy.
And we're allowed to be adults, right?
Yeah, and you just have to go.
Correct.
So now it happening more and more often that people leave Fleet after 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month because then I'm like, oh my God.
Different to what I thought I was signing up for. Do you so even with Synergy IQ, my business, I think we spend more time talking people out of being consultants than into being consultants, right? Like that's part of our hiring process. Are you sure you're living with ambiguity? You're actually working by yourself a lot. You're gonna be dealing with problems with not many people around at that particular time supporting you. It's not like you can turn to the next person. Because we're working on site, we're working within our clients. So we actually talk people out of consulting.
I like it. It's very clever to see how they react.
Correct. Yeah. So that's
set the clear expectations.
Yeah, I think that's part of the journey from a recruitment point of view is if the Jim Collins good to great scenario. Let's get the right people on the bus who want to go in the same direction as that.
I totally, and I like what you're saying, and it's something that probably we should do more often. I always say when people come to me and say, I want to be, what's the advice you're going to give me? I want to be a space entrepreneur. I always say, don't do it. I'm like, it's hard, it's stressful, you're going to ruin your life, you're going to divorce, it's going to be horrible, da 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 da. And just when people, and I don't do it to hurt them. I know that what is needed to hear that feedback is such a love that if I see that they do it, I know that they will be successful.
Yeah. Well, correct. If you push someone down a path because you love it, based on your perspectives, based on the boundaries that you work to, right? Based on the impact that you can give, and then they think that that's the world that they're going to live in. It's wrong.
It's wrong.
We use an analogy here at Synergy IQ called the street corner analogy. If you think about you're standing at an intersection, right?
Yep.
And your intersection, and you're at one corner and I'm at another corner, like opposite corners of this intersection, and there's a car accident that happens in the middle. You and I both see the exact same car accident, but see it from different perspectives, right? You didn't see the little cat that ran in front of the car. That's why the car slammed on its brakes, and then the car behind. All you saw was the car behind hit the back of the car, right? So we saw two different things. I saw the cat. I saw the reason. All you saw was this other person speeding, not paying attention, and crashing into it. So, when we
that's clever.
Yeah. So when we have when we give advice, we really need to understand from the other person's perspective what they're seeing.
In all the four corners.
In all the four corners, correct, because everyone's seeing it from a different angle.
Yeah, exactly.
And we talk about boundaries as well. When you create boundaries and you're thinking about hiring people in, when you're explaining the job role within the organization, it's like, well, this is what we do, right? I think the most important part of it is this is what we don't do.
No, I agree.
Yeah, this is what we're not.
Yeah. I love it. And I think probably that's something that we don't do enough. But, now that you're talking, I think we should do it more often. Because people need to realize.
Well, it stops the 2 week stuff.
Yeah, it stops
or at least
the
doesn't stop it full stop, but it stops it. It reduces it drastically.
Yeah, I agree. Because the reality that people say, I can jump in a startup like Fleet. It looks cool from the outside. Wow, female CEO. Wow, launching satellite.
Yeah.
Man, it's hard work.
Yeah.
When you get into it's messy, no procedures, lots of problems, product problems, lots of customers. Some of them it's a startup.
Yeah,
You need to have a very happy soul.
Yeah, agreed.
You need to be a very happy person.
And deal with things that change daily, right? I think that's...
I agree. Here's something that I've learned this year that is fascinating me. So I was a big, basketball player.
Yep.
And I've realized in the past year that the best employees I've got are very, very high-level sports players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So everyone that is a really high-level sport, they love it. They love the competition. They love the struggle. They love the setbacks. They never give up. They got that professionally. So that's something that I've changed. And I'm telling everyone, check what they do as sport.
Yeah, I agree.
Fascinating.
I as a junior, played very high-level sport. Played for Australia or represented Australia in cricket and
cool
in like the under 15, like it was junior level. But I do believe, and I played the football as well at quite a high level for a junior. But I do believe that sport is fundamental. Because, and I'll say this, and I'm pushing. I've got 2 daughters as well who play basketball. So
my daughter played basketball. Yeah,
so we're now a basketball family, but I push them into it, and I push a lot of my friends who are parents, and I tell them, get your kids into team sports because you deal with personalities.
Yeah,
you set goals.
You fail together, you win together.
Exactly.
When you win, you don't play good, but the other wins. When you lose, you play good. There's so many scenarios that it shows
and it's
you.
the constant feedback that comes with it, right? You kick the ball bad, or you have a shot at goal and you shoot the basketball and you miss. The instant feedback is next time a little bit more to the left.
Exactly.
Right? Next time a little bit harder. It's instant feedback with everything that you do. You come off onto the bench and the coach is saying,
and there are some things that teaches you that are very interesting that I've learned. Sport teaches you that you cannot have 5 Cristiano Ronaldo.
Correct.
Okay? Yeah. A team with 5 Cristiano Ronaldo will not go anywhere.
No.
You cannot have, so you need to have a star. And the others are around the star and no one sees them, but without them, the star doesn't achieve. So it teaches you that also that invisible person in the team, in your business, without that person, you're not going to make it.
Well, in the space sense, it's the dark matter, right? It's the stuff that holds everything else together
that no one talks about.
Exactly.
And I think that's a huge lesson that digest the sport people. It's bizarre.
I agree.
I love it.
You think about it, like soccer, football, it's the back line, which is the most important people in the team because they're stopping the other team score the goal. That get really it's always the striker or the forward. Yeah,
my daughter at basketball, she's a rebound master. Like she gets all the rebounds. And she's like, Mom, I'm not that good at shooting. I'm like, man, you take all the rebounds.
Yeah.
So every time they make a mistake, it's our ball. And every time one of your girl doesn't shoot, they give them another chance.
Yeah.
You're the most critical person.
100%. Well, that's so funny to say because with my daughter, she's not a very good shot on goal from the basketball point of view, but has more assists than anyone else in the team, right? And I say to her,
that is so cool.
You're setting up the play. Like, that is possibly one of the most important pieces.
I agree.
You're not the one scoring the goals, but you're setting them up. You're giving direction. Like, that is...
And you see them. You're not focusing on yourself. Versus I love sport.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing more and more connection between startup and sport that I cannot avoid to see.
You can't ignore it.
It's so beautiful.
Well, it's unavoidable. I think you're right. As part of your recruitment process, not that you say, because you're dealing in a tech world, right? So sport may not be.
That's the thing. But
you know,
I have an Olympic champion. I have a triathlon champion. I have a basketball guy that played in an NBL in US. And they're just guns. And, for instance, funny enough, this quarter is way less busy than last quarter. And these are very interesting people that they perform. I'm the same. They perform better under stress. Yeah. So when there is like a calm month, you see them walking around. They're like, what are you doing? I'm getting bored.
Yeah, walking around with a piece of paper.
Yeah, they're like, I'm really bored. So those people are sporty people.
Yeah.
And
really
it's just so good, man.
It is really interesting. I love it. I want to talk about, like, right now I can see the life coming out of you, and we've talked a little bit about depression and all the above, but I want to talk about happiness, right? Like, it seems to me that you're absolutely in love with the work that you do, and happiness is I guess it can be a fleeting emotion, but let's call it contentness or whatever we want to call it. If it was a recipe or a concoction, like if we think about happiness as a recipe or a concoction, and it had sort of all these different ingredients that go into it, like different behaviors, different things, what do you think would be the best behaviors that would make you as a CEO of Fleet Space happy? That would make you perform at your best.
So when I think about the period, if I'm more content, let's call it, or happy, it is not everything that happened at Fleet is in general. So the weeks that I'm the best mentally and just happy, there are some weeks that I'm like, I'm just gonna walk away. Okay, but let's talk about the good weeks. There is a combination of I think in your life an enormous role has got your partner. I think love, I know it sounds really crazy, but when love is in balance, it's just so good. I think like if I hope something from my daughters is finding the one
they love,
because it makes your life really beautiful. Sleep is good. I think days are worst when you don't sleep. And that's fine. For me is, I don't know, it's when you wake up and you got the ability. So one thing that really helps me is just go a step at a time. A lot of people wake up and go to sleep and think about, oh my God, there are all these things that I need to face. For me, happiness is just navigating, Funnily enough, I wake up in the morning and I don't have any idea what I have to do in the afternoon. I just navigate my agenda one after the other. I like walking around Fleet, just like being around people and walking around. And I annoy them, but I just love it. When I go to one engineer that is new and say, hey, what are you up to? And I go there and there. That makes me happy. It makes me feel, for me, happiness is having eyes everywhere. But when family is in balance, when I walk a lot, that I don't do enough, when I manage to just go around and talk with people and make them feel good and get them a smile at Fleet because life is tough. When the dogs are a Fleet, I love when the dogs are Fleet. That's what make my day feel good, And when I've got the feeling that I've learned something and I've done my good decision a day, I go to sleep quite well.
You do, I love that.
And it's very simple things,
It is. I think it goes to show that it's not the business, it's not the everyday doing of things, but it's the being present in the moment that can really cause.
That's something that depression and people and the way you go over depression is just being there in the moment. For example, I don't what is success looks like. For me, success look like daily happiness. That is the little success of every person that had depression. Like, oh, today I was pretty good. That is good.
Yeah.
You know?
That's a win.
And the rest, I don't talk about revenue and how many satellites, because that will come.
Yeah, I agree.
That will come, you know.
Do you think, this might sound like a really silly question, but I just, as you're talking then, and you were talking about, there's some people that wake up and they just think about all the things that they got to do, and you know, they're the center of their universe. Do you think working in space, now I'm drawing this analogy because space is so vast, right? Space is it's
space. It's a lot of space.
It's just like, it's actually mind-boggling when you understand the size of it, the amount of galaxies. Like, it's just mind-boggling, right? The observable universe is just like 13.8 billion. Like, I love all this stuff too, right? And so, do you think that by working in this vastness that you work in allows you to be less stressed?
I actually think there is something connected to that, you know. People get stressed about a lot of little things, you know, in the company. And sometimes I remember them that we've launched satellites that work in space. Who does that?
No, this is what I'm saying. Like, you're just dealing with the vastness.
That? And the biggest problems, right? You know, if you have a team that had the ability to launch a satellite in the sky that works, there is nothing that team cannot do.
Yeah.
So, you know, when they call me and say, you know, we had a problem with a customer, it's a problem of communication, or like they're not happy with that. And I'm like, for me, it's such a small problem. I had problem with rockets and betting things out. We solved the most complicated issues. We want to put things on the moon. Surely I can call this customer and apologize.
Exactly.
You know, so you know, in a context where that is the most critical things that happened, for us, it's like we have pushed us to achieve crazy things. Surely we can fix everything else. So that's the thing that I feel every day. That probably makes me feel that way, you know.
You're so right, because you're doing such difficult things by what you're doing, right? Launching something into the, like, it's mind-boggling that you're doing that. But then, yeah, like you said, not dealing with this mundane little task is the part that's holding me or causing me the most angst, but I'm able to put a satellite in the sky.
So,
doesn't make sense.
I was in the car coming here talking in my leadership meeting daily, and the girls were in the car, and I was telling my team, you know, we're having some problems. I'm like, just talk to people, tell them who we are, tell them that our startups, that we make mistakes, we will fix them. Talk with your heart, because we are trying to do something really big, and it's not going to get perfect. But we have launched satellites in space. We can fix this, you know? And then I hang up, and my daughter was like, that was such a beautiful speech. And I thought that was funny. So that's how I see it, you know?
That's so profound for your kids to hear that in the car. I think that's one thing that's, you know, when going back to the point of children who have parents who are in businesses, right? It's because they hear it. They're going through the everyday pains that we go through. They can read our emotions.
Yeah, exactly. And they are amazing kids. You know, my daughter, my 9 years old, now she's, since 2 years, she has been telling me that she wants to be an actress, right? Yeah. And I'm like, of course, you go for it. But of course she wants to win the Oscar.
Yeah.
So she's like, not little ambitious, you know. She's like, I'm going to win the Oscar.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm like, that's probably more difficult than going to Mars. You know, like, you know, that's a smaller chance to win an Oscar than the landing to Mars.
From a percentage point of view.
You know, she's like, every day she's rehearsing and practicing the speech.
That's so amazing.
I bought her like a fake Oscar, you know, and she's there saying, thank you, everyone.
What's her name again?
Katerina.
Katerina, and your eldest is?
So Katerina is my eldest, and Victoria is the other one.
So Katerina is the one that wants to be the actor?
She wants to be the actor, and that's the thing that I always tell her. I'm going to go and live in Hollywood, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And she just pictures the success, right? She's there talking about that.
Visualization technique.
And I think that's super cool.
And to have a mum and a dad that is going to help her nurture that.
Yeah,
that
you know.
is amazing.
We got a big responsibility, you know, with these little ones.
I think you do. You and I had a conversation maybe early this week, I think it was, where you said you're currently reflecting on a few things in your life at the moment. You are.
What's next?
Yeah, well, the what's next stuff. You're, and I'm really interested in that space because you are a thinker. You are someone that does the long walks on the beach or whatever it might be. What is it that you are thinking about?
I I don't know the thing is that I'm passionate about a lot of little things, you know. So I'm looking at Fleet, and I'm 39, you know. I'm young still, even if this 40 feels like it's come too early. And I'm thinking, what's going to happen with this company? Okay, I always said with Fleet that what I wanted to achieve with Fleet is to make Fleet a unicorn. I wanted the first space unicorn in the country to be Fleet. That's it. Yeah. And not because of the money that I will get out of it or my shareholders. That is important. It's because of the growth. Yeah. I always thought if I go through 10 years of such a growth from zero to hero and beyond, what kind of human being will I be? That is cool, right? And what will I have to keep going and helping? So Fleet, for me, I don't have exits with Fleet. I want a Fleet to go big. But I love a lot of things, you know. So I don't care about money. That is so weird to say. Now, money are not important to me. I grew up in a family which money broke my family. So for me, money is our trouble.
Well, I asked that question earlier. You know? What is that concoction? And money doesn't come into the equation at all, does it?
For me, money doesn't come into the equation. You know, like for people, it does. For me, it's trouble. So, you know, like... so I'm just constantly thinking, if I would get out of money, what I will do. And, you know, I'm writing 40 things that I would like to do. And they're all bizarre. Like, you know, so all things that come from my love, you know, like I would like to help the elephants and the rainforest. I've got all these causes that I've been following in years, you know. And so I've been doing this math, and I'm like, maybe when I'm 50, I can take 6 months every year and go to a place and help the lions and the elephants of you know, like going and help someone in the war and
giving
just
back.
Yeah, I want to live 10, 15 years like this, doing one after the other.
That's amazing.
My daughters will be at university. They will not want to see me anymore if they want to come with me to this. So I want to really spend like from 60 plus, 50 plus, 20 years of my life going everywhere and seeing things. I will be a super hippie millionaire.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to be.
I think I'm on board with that. It's exploring what being a human has to offer, right? Like it's exploring
and I want to do it.
Every behavior, every scenario,
culture, and I want to just see. So I'm not that kind of person that, you know, will become if I ever become a millionaire, I want to help my family and my friends and everything. But I will not buy like a huge house and then an helicopter. And I was just gonna go and give a couple of million to an elephant park. And I don't know why, but that's who I am.
I love that. When we did talk about the happiness thing before, you mentioned love. I want to talk to that for a moment. You're obviously madly in love with your husband, which is amazing to hear.
Yes or no? Because that husband, I divorced that husband.
Did you?
Yeah. So I'm madly in love with someone else.
With someone else. There you go. So your new partner. It sounds like there is this love that's in place, which is amazing. Sorry, I didn't pick that up, actually.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So it's a part of the startup.
That's
going back to
So interesting topic then anyway, or interesting, the question is still relevant. Is that something, do you work on your relationship as much as you work on being a CEO?
Yeah, probably more.
Yeah,
probably more.
And is that because of the failed attempts that you've had then previous, or is it something that you just actually, I really, really admire and want to be with this person?
First of all, I'm a very romantic and I love to share life with a person. Okay. And I know it's hard. You know, I've been through a failed attempt. We loved each other very much. We gave birth to beautiful girls. We still take care of each other profoundly. But love is not given for certain. You really need to put it a lot of effort in a good way. Not, you know what I was saying before. It's not like it has to be difficult, but it's a plant. And if you don't cut the wrong arms and the wrong things, it grows in the wrong direction. And it's something that I have ever given for granted. You know, meet someone you love and it's just going to be fine. I don't think that's the case. And you're never going to achieve anything in life if someone next to you doesn't really support you and be there for you. You can dream together. You can plan together. And I love it. It's like, you know, when I was telling you about being CEO, you always grow. I think what you do in a relationship, you always grow. And And I'm not an easy person to be with, in a sense that I think I'm an easy person to be with, but I really think highly about love and what it means to me, And so I spend a lot of time trying to make it good.
Do you tell us about, like, a question that I ask quite often on this podcast is, how do we realize our visions, right? Which is obviously Fleet and the unicorn. So how do we realize our visions and aspire to be the best person that we can be, whilst trying to cultivate these loving relationships? Like, how do you do that? Do you separate it, or do you try to entwine?
So something that you've missed that is gonna make you laugh now. You're ready? Yeah. Okay, so my partner is my co-founder of Fleet.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. Okay, so answering your question. That it makes
I didn't read this news article. I've done that much research. How come I didn't pick this up?
It happened, after my divorce and everything. And it's interesting because how do you do that? You are a co-founder team. Yeah. You always together. You got a private life. Yeah. You go there. You're such a different co-founder, such a different brain. Yeah. Yeah. We never fight at home. Yeah. Like, I think we never had a fight in years. Yeah. And way more as CEO and CXO. Sometimes you're like, what are you doing? Yeah. It is, you need to find a good balance. I'm like, we dream about the same things, it's just that constant support and having someone that exactly, it is very hard for partners or wife and husband of entrepreneurs understand 100%. They love you, but they never understand 100%. They never understand why that day you come home and you're so stressed about that thing that seems nothing to them. Yeah. And they understand, they love you, but they just cannot. Why you are with an entrepreneur or the same entrepreneur in your company, you don't have to talk. They look at your face and exactly know where this comes from, Yeah. You don't need to explain it.
Yeah, wow.
And that was good.
So it does sound, it sounds amazing, but like what's going through my head right now is entrepreneurship is complex enough, but when you were in a relationship with your partner, it becomes even more complex in a way, doesn't it?
We are making it work in a horrible way that we don't know how.
Yeah, so you just wanted to add more complexity to your life.
And I think you had more magic and more complexity. And I think if you're going to really want to go really, really far, you need to add a lot of magic and a lot of complexity.
That's brilliant. Let's talk about Fleet. I am conscious of your time. If I want to just talk about Fleet, you are on path to becoming this unicorn. Tell me about the exciting things that are coming. What is it? Just the continual growth of what you're doing? I know this mining and the minerals thing. To me, that's really
cool.
Like you're looking. So I'm just going to say this. This is what I picked up from some talks and whatnot. But you're listening to the earth by looking through it. Is that kind of the way it works?
Absolutely. The difficulties things here, we've been working on this for a few years, but this year is taking really off. Yep. And this is amazing. Yeah. But it's also very scary because we are still a small company and, we onboarded 25 customers. So we simply are building the capability to serve them.
This comes back to where the startup, please. Can you please just bear with us for a moment?
Can you just bear for us with a moment? Because we didn't expect this growth. And so we are just catching up. Yeah. Yeah. And it's beautiful that you meet the product market fit. But then when it's so big, you're like, okay, wait a second. I need to hire 30 people and sort out how are we going to ship these things to you? So you need to sort out everything.
So can you explain it? Is the satellites operating at lower orbit, looking down, being able to read what's underneath the earth?
Correct. So we use that technique. So usually in mining companies, it's a big problem to solve looking for new deposits. Yeah. And if you look at critical minerals, so all the minerals that are used in batteries, in solar panels, and underneath in
lithium and
EV car, exactly. Yeah. So we need 40 times more lithium, 2 times more copper. Yeah. So it's huge what we need.
I heard there's a lithium short. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So Tesla, right? It's give me lithium. It's a really complex problem. Yeah. And everything that was being found. And, so we need to go deeper. How do we go deeper? Usually drilling. That is complicated because it's not really, it's just like a science, you just drill and try to find. So we started using this technique that allows you to deploy arrays on a tenement, and they talk to the satellites. They can listen to waves and earthquakes and all the movements of Earth and scan. It's geophysics, right? So it's very complicated.
Yeah.
So we started, and it is worth changing, and it is very complicated. It's like machine learning and stuff like that, and edge computing, you name it.
Yeah.
And we are onto something, a cusp of something really, really big. And now we just need to deliver.
So how does it work? You know, when like if we're searching for exoplanets, right? So another planet where we can live on, and you scan these planets, and they've got different colors. You can see if there's carbon. You can see the colors, right?
And you kind of understand. So this one,
is it the same sort of thing.
So when something that I didn't realize till I started working. So if you are in the middle, so if you put one of these sensors in the middle of Australia, you can hear the waves crashing on the Western Australian coast. That they send a signal, a wave, all through the continent. That is insane to start with, right? So when these waves and move into the rocks, the velocity is a proxy for density. So if it's if it hits a lithium rock or a lithium deposit, changes velocity. If you eat a copper deposit, so you have all these colors that says that's lithium, that's copper, that's uranium, that's.
You have different sounds.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
So it is.
Who came up with this idea?
So this is a technique that's been used in volcanology for a while, but in academia, never been brought into mining. So now we are bringing together geology and geophysicists that are solving another of the major problems of the universe, finding metals underneath the surface. Like that's
space.
That's insane, right? It's like bringing all the biggest problems together, and go and solve it.
Do you know when you sit around at a Christmas party and you're all trying to come up with the next great idea? No one's ever come up with that. That's unbelievable. No. It's unbelievable.
No one said the next good idea should be use satellites to look for mining.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's just so outside the realms of what we would think is possible. Like my mortal brain would think it's possible.
Even my mortal brain, is trying to learn geology and geophysicists, and it's just physics. It's hard.
So you guys have won, and you've recently been announced one of the top startups to watch. Is that because of this technology now? Is this a game changer for you?
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because
I'm so excited to watch this space.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Now, we're going to wrap up the podcast. I had so many more questions that we didn't get through.
And we talk about all other stuff that you had no idea we were talking about.
I think where we went was
beautiful.
Probably better than what my questions were going to. But I think anyway, let's go into quick fire questions. Now, I normally shoot these off to prepare for people to prepare to, but I forgot to send them to you last night.
So now everyone, I have no idea what is about to ask me.
So this is going to be right off the cuff.
It's going to be horrible. Okay.
What are you reading right now?
Interesting. I'm reading a book in Italian that talks about a student. That is something fascinating. Talk about a student in school. It's a real story that he was absolutely horrible in school, in math, science, everything. So he repeated many years, many times. So he finished when he was like 22 or something. Yeah. He just couldn't get it. He couldn't get math. He couldn't get science. He couldn't get anything. So they got him through a system like pushing. And then he became a university professor. So I'm trying to understand what happened there.
How did that?
So I'm halfway through.
It's not in English, it's only in Italian.
It's in Italian. So I'm half through it. But what an interesting concept, right? So I don't know what's going to happen and how he managed, but I keep you posted.
What's the book called?
So in English, if you translate it, it should be something like my Mathematica school. Okay. I've got one of my daughters, they're 7 years old, that she hates math, right? She hates it. Yeah. She's like, no, I don't want to do it. She's in year one. She's like, 1 + 1, 4. Yeah. And she's like, Mama, I don't want to do it. And the other day she was on a simulator, so a flying car simulator with all numbers and pilots, and she was mastering it. Yeah. And she was like, I've done it in 1 minute, 12 seconds. So I was looking at her and like, how does your brain work? Yeah. So this is what I'm interested about now.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I know you. I hear that loud and clear. If there was one book that you, like a self-development book that you could gift, or that you've read more than often, or or even a business book, what would
there is something funny that is called something like I'm Surrounded by Idiots.
Yeah, I've seen
Have you ever read it?
I haven't read that yet.
It is. You should read it. Yeah. The interesting things about that book is So very similar to all, personality colors, I'm yellow, you're green. And so it's really good for your self-awareness. Yeah. But more than anything, it's good for dealing with people that are different than you.
Yeah. Understanding those perspectives, right?
Yeah, those corners of that incident.
100%. Very good. Do you listen to any other podcasts other than this one, of course?
Just this one, really. Just this one.
That's it. Right,
yeah, just this one.
Well, do you listen to any others? Like, is there any other that you absolutely love?
It's random.
It's random.
It's the two things about the past 3 years with COVID. That podcast now is there about everything.
Yeah, there's so many different.
So you're on Spotify, you're driving, and you just I put so random topics that I couldn't pinpoint to one.
I hear you. What's one lesson that's taking the longest to learn?
In life or in business?
One lesson, doesn't matter.
The lesson is taking the longest to learn. It is, even if it seems in this conversation that I have learned it, I think the most difficult things in life is see the incident from the other corner. We just we don't do it.
Yeah,
it is so hard to put it, and it is so hard. It's hard in business. It's hard in relationship. It's taking a long time to learn, and it's going slower than expected. And we don't have enough tools to do it.
No.
So it's hard to know what skills you need to improve.
3 people that you could invite for dinner. It's a cliche question, but I like
if I could invite someone for dinner, anyone?
3 people.
Alive or dead?
Doesn't matter.
My mom, she's dead.
Okay.
I'll invite for dinner. I miss her, so I'll invite her.
How long ago did she pass?
She was 4 years ago. It was pancreatic cancer, so it was annoying. I will definitely invite Elon Musk. And just because I want to see what my mom does with Elon Musk, because she wasn't interested at all. And when I was like, "Mom, this is a very important person," she would be like, "I don't care. How are your kids?"
Yeah. Bad manners.
Does this guy have kids? I'm like, he got 5.
I think he's got more now, doesn't
it? More. Yeah, so that would be my dinner. Me, my mom, and Elon Musk will be a really interesting dinner.
And Matt, we'll say Matt.
And Matt.
That'll be really very good. What's some of the best advice you've ever received?
An interesting one. So it's something that, so if you ask me what is the most important, it came from an advice. So if you ask me what is the most important thing on your life, what is gonna be, I always reply and say, the day that I'm gone, the day that I die, the day that I'm out of this world, hopefully it's gonna be a good day, in a sense. But I wanna be surrounded by love that day. Yeah. Okay. This comes from an advice from my mom that, used to tell me, remember that everything you do is to feel really, really good that day. That is a weird advice, but I don't want that day to have regrets. I don't have that day to be lonely. I just want that day to be looking back at 80, 70, 60, all the time that life will give me and think, that was awesome. And a lot of people love me, a lot of people respect me, and I had a good life. And that comes from a good advice.
That's amazing advice. If you had access to a time machine, where would you go?
In the future.
Yeah, has to be.
Of course, has to be. Yeah. It will be, and it will be interesting to know when. Because the reason why I would like to live long is to see technology happening. So for me, the most I was having a discussion yesterday in an aperitif with someone. Probably people think I'm crazy. I'm a big believer that we don't know a lot about brain and the humankind in many, many years. I don't know if 500, 1,000, 300, I don't know. We'll be able just to connect mentally and talk. We were talking about twins that can do this. And we don't know how. There are people. So I just want to see the technology get to this point.
Yeah.
And I want to see technologies. I want to probably come here in 500 years and really hope that this world is going to be still here and see what technologies have been invented and people telepathically talking with each other. That I want to see that.
Yeah.
It would be sad not to see it.
I'm with you. I don't understand anyone that wants to go back. I want like...
No.
I agree. If your house was on fire...
Yes.
Family, kids, everyone's safe.
Yes.
Dogs, pets, all the above.
Yeah.
All safe. What's one item that you'd run back in and save?
I don't really like objects, so objects are not important to me. Probably I would save a jewel that I have from my mom.
Yeah.
Don't know where I put it though, so it would take me a long time to find it. I think I know where it is, but
that's why I'm asking these questions. So go home right now and make sure you find it and put it somewhere.
Something from my mom, probably. Yeah,
it's those sentimental things.
Yeah. It's probably something from my mom, and I know exactly what it is. I'm not sure where I put it, but I'll check it this afternoon.
Your one goal today is to go find that thing. If you had one superhero power, what would it be? You've got one already.
I've got one already.
If you had another one.
If I had one, it's a weird one, but I would like not to sleep.
Not to sleep.
So I would like to live.
The body doesn't need to recharge.
Yes, so that I can live longer, do more things.
You got more hours.
Because it feels like I'm gonna spend half of my life sleeping.
Yeah.
So that's what I would like.
You talk about the future. That's where we are going.
Yeah, right. Because it's an entire life. I would like to use every second of it.
But we will. That's robotic. That's what robots will do.
Yeah, maybe.
Our bodies are merely a vessel.
And then you put our brain in a robot.
Correct. Well, our bodies right now are a vessel that cannot cope with the amount of hours required to do things.
Yeah,
has to recharge, right? So that's the next level is anyway.
Even if I like bodies, they're good. They're good. It's a good vessel.
It is a good vessel.
It's a good vessel.
For now, it won't take us to the next level, though, I think.
I'm now thinking I can not sleeping superpower. That's gonna be cool. Okay.
Now to finish off, my favorite. What's your best dad/mum joke?
Okay. So I've checked it before and I Google it. So and I thought it was really funny, but now I need to remember it. What is a tea that is really hard to swallow?
What is a tea that is really hard to swallow?
Reality.
Oh, it's true.
And it's in line with the podcast, right?
It is.
Reality
Absolutely.
is annoying.
It is very good. So we've got Katerina and Victoria.
Hello.
How old are you?
I'm 9 turning 10.
9 turning 10, and you are?
I'm Victoria.
Victoria.
Turning 7. No, I am 7.
You are 7.
I'm turning 8.
Excellent. Well done. Thank you for joining me on the podcast.
Thanks.
I heard some really great things. I heard that you love math. Is that correct?
Yeah. She doesn't.
No, you don't. I heard that you guys want to be an actress. What do you want to be? I'm still figuring that out.
I want to be an actress.
And you've already got an Oscar, I hear.
No.
Did Mum bought you a...
It was a plastic Oscar we got from Dream World at Queensland.
Well, I think you're going to get a real one day, aren't you? Do you get involved with Mum's work a lot at all? Do you help her out at work?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Once we wanted to work there.
Once we tried to work there and she gave us like 50 cents for every job we did.
Yeah.
Big spender.
Big jobs.
Did you? What did you do? What's a big job look like?
Ask everyone if they wanted tea.
Big job.
And
What about coffee? Do you make them coffee? Mum doesn't drink coffee, does she?
no.
No. Do you drink coffee?
No.
Drink wine either.
You don't drink wine either. Well, that's good. I know your mum's Italian, but yeah, wine at 7 years old is probably not the right thing, I don't think.
No.
Are you proud of your mum and all the efforts that she's done? Yeah.
Especially, well, the one thing that's really annoying is that she takes a day off. And then she sits there on her computer at work. I'm like, Mum, she's taking a day off. She's like...
Yeah, that's the life of a business owner. Have you got anything funny about Mum? Is there anything that you can tell me that's really funny?
She sleeps in the afternoon.
She sleeps in the afternoon and 10 hours at night time as well. Wow. Do you sleep as much as she does?
No, she sleeps like 5 hours more than us.
Wow.
She goes to bed earlier than us.
Does she really?
We won't
That's-
stay up and watch TV. So we go to sleep.
Like
What's-
once she was so tired, we went to sleep and we were still watching TV. And we were like, Mom, are you awake?
What's your favourite TV show?
Well,
I've nailed it.
Hey?
nailed it.
Nailed it.
Nailed It is
yes.
where they like try to create cakes, but they always turn out as disasters.
Yeah.
And sometimes we watch like, is it cake?
Like,
Oh,
all
yeah,
those
is it
food
okay?
shows.
All the food shows. What's your favourite movie?
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter? Which one?
All of them.
All of them.
I've read all the books.
You've read all the books as well.
I'm reading the first book.
You're reading the first book. My daughters are reading the first book at the moment as well. They love it, but they watch them all. Do you like the movies or the books better?
Books.
The books are great.
I'm saying books, even if I've read
I think
one
it's
chapter.
better for
But has
her
Mum read you the book or not?
No.
No.
She's reading it.
You're just reading
I
it
think
yourself.
the only reason that she likes the books better is because she can imagine what's happening in her head.
It's
than seeing the actual.
I agree.
vibe.
Well, you can think about, you get to understand what's going through Harry's head when he's going through it. It's so much better.
First page is so interesting. I was like,
When she read the first page, she was reading the first page. Mum, like, oh, time to go to bed. And she's like, why? Why?
Very good. So we're going to put this on the end of the podcast of your mum's podcast on YouTube. So you guys are going to be YouTube stars. You know that, don't you? We're going to have millions of followers.
Yeah.
If mum allows us. Yeah. Sorry, I should ask that first. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for being patient while Mum was on the podcast. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I'm really happy to have met you. Thank you so much for your time today, Flavia. It's been absolutely amazing chat. Thank you for being vulnerable and deeping dive into some of your, your past history and some of the depression stuff that you went through.
Yeah.
And you continue to this day. And look, to be honest, really excited. Well, I got you on because I believe that you are on track. You and Matt are on track to creating this unicorn. I'm absolutely obsessed with the business. I've been following it for many years now. So I'm super chuffed that I'm sitting here in front of you, but I'm super excited about what the future holds for you both and the team at Fleet and everything that you're going to create. So kudos for that.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I had such a blast.
That's great. Excellent. So where can we find you if people want to get in contact with you?
LinkedIn is the best place.
Yeah.
I'm always there. And
Yeah.
if you contact me and get in touch with me on LinkedIn and follow me, just be ready because I post a lot.
Yeah. Brilliant. And have a really great following too. So anyway, thank you again for your time. Really appreciate it. We'll catch up next time, guys. Cheers. Thanks for listening to the podcast all. You can check out the show notes if there was anything of interest to you and find out more about us at synergyiq.com.au. I am going to ask though, if you did like the podcast, it would absolutely mean the world to me if you could subscribe, rate and review. And if you didn't like it, that's all right too. There's no need to do anything. Take care, guys. All the best.